Hello, I'm Ola.
I'm Cullen.
We're Brooks and Disorder, and we bought this house together.
We're not a couple.
This is how we got our keys. Come in. This is our house. We bought it for 450k at the beginning of the pandemic.
I've been watching your TikToks. I'm a big fan, I must say. So do you mind showing me what's the most interesting room in the house?
Let's start with the kitchen. I think the kitchen is the best.
Right now we've got a lot of wood here. Just don't watch that.
Just ignore this. So this room's the most interesting because it's the most traumatic. We've had a lot of disasters in this room. Starting with over here, I fell through the floor here, and it was a shock because it meant that we basically had to rip out the entire kitchen. And then up here, this is where our friend nearly fell through the ceiling.
I can see that you guys have been through a lot, it seems. So when did the idea of buying a house first come up?
This was about 3 years ago. We were both earning like a decent amount of money, and yeah, we just thought it would be a good idea to buy together because we couldn't afford it individually. So when you're buying a house with a friend, you need to know the difference between joint tenants and tenants in common. And we chose joint tenants, but that wasn't the best move for us.
Joint tenants basically means both of you own 100% of the house. That's sort of okay if you're a couple or something like that, where if one of you passes away tragically, the other person gets everything.
Tragic.
But if you have tenants in common, it means that you can both own a percentage. So if one of you passes away, the other person gets a certain amount and the rest goes to whoever they want it to.
Yeah, usually that percentage is 50-50 if it's two people. But the reason why we chose joint tenants was because we were in a rush. We were trying to get a house before COVID. And like that process is long because you'd have to write a will, etc., etc.
At least we thought it was
At
long.
least, yeah, we don't know.
We just panicked, really.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
Yeah, just panicked. So.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And who was the better saver? Would you say it was Ola or Cullen?
That was definitely me. I had to pay rent at the same time, whereas Ola was just living with his mum.
Don't say just.
Just living with his mum.
Don't say just. That was tough times.
Tough as mine.
Tough times.
I slept on an airbed.
I was saving too, and I obviously had to pay my mum like some money as well. I wasn't just living for free.
My biggest saving technique was definitely, I was basically renting this place off a friend. So I was only paying £200 a month, but it was basically a cupboard with an airbed. And to save money, rather than buy anything or go out and eat food, I just played Fortnite for about 6 months.
So how much did you save altogether for the house?
So altogether we saved around 70k in total, but in the beginning it was like 35 each. We had like some funds in our limited company, but that was basically stuff we couldn't really take out.
So that was for the deposit, the sort of initial fees, and then we only had a little bit for
the
renovation.
Yeah, we didn't really plan ahead. To save up 35k each, it took 5 years, but the majority of that money was in 1 year of freelancing. So we were earning good money from freelancing.
Very good money.
Yeah, we're still continuing to do that right now, but we did take a job like in between.
Freelancing was the key thing that put us over the edge. If not, we'd have probably been saving for a lot more years. Yeah. It wasn't even just to do with the deposit money, it was also the
salary
and things like that, because you need to have a certain amount to borrow how much we borrowed.
The job that we had before we started freelancing, I think we were earning 25k.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and our first freelance rates, they were, was it 250?
250.
250
and then
a
it
day.
went up to 300.
Yeah.
But like the price difference, it was like triple the amount of money we were making before.
Yeah, so once that money started coming in,
no more airbeds.
Yeah.
No more airbeds. It's also really important to consider what one of you would do if you were going to sell, because sometimes you might have different things. You might have own different percentages of the things. So having something in place beforehand, so you know what each other want and things like that, is really important ahead of time, because you don't want things to get complicated, where one of you wants to go, one of you doesn't, or you own different stakes and you don't know how to pull them out.
Was there anything about the buying process you know now that you wish you knew at the start?
Estate agents, they can be a bit tricky, ratty.
Ratty. Speaking of rats, this is also the grounds of where we had a big rat infestation. When we did the extension here, we pulled the door out. We didn't have a door for so long, and that just let them in they sort of took home underneath the dishwasher.
It was more like no wall. There was no wall here. So there was just like a big curtain that was covering this place. And yeah, that's when the rats came in.
They
Guys,
burrowed deep.
I've seen rats in this house where no one should see rats ever.
Like if you come in here, there's no way a rat can escape this room, right?
Wrong. It jumps up, climbs.
Up this pipe and through the back and into this wall. We don't know if it got out of this wall, but it's in this wall probably
Somewhere
to this day.
This bathroom is a rat. And I hope it never comes out while I'm pooing. That's it.
Anyway, this is our bathroom. It's one of our favorite rooms in the house.
So what's the most expensive thing that you've bought for the house so far?
Probably this actually.
Yeah.
Probably this screen, especially like, this was quite expensive, about £200, but we've always sort of had an attitude, if you spend cheap on everything else and you have like 1 or 2 expensive items in a room, it will make it look more expensive than it actually is.
How much did you actually spend in this kitchen?
It was around 4,400 for everything. One of the biggest ways that we managed to save money is by not having cabinets. We just got shelves instead.
These are great tips. So do you prefer new builds or older houses?
It's gotta be old houses, it's gotta be old.
And why?
Because you just make that money straight away. I think it's harder with new builds to make that profit
To add the value.
quickly.
So how much is this house worth now?
650,
650.
maybe 700. We've got a couple of different opinions on that, but
Yeah, so
good
it's
money.
gone up in around by 200K in that region at least.
So what's your number one piece of advice when it comes to DIY?
I'd say definitely start with getting good tools or renting tools.
I can see you've got a lot of tools here.
Yeah, this is our flex. Getting good equipment is like the key thing I think that we found, because you can save a lot of time. Like the biggest thing with DIY, it takes so much time. But if you have good tools, then that speeds up the process and it makes it more accessible for normal people.
Yeah, thing is you don't necessarily have to buy the tools, you can rent tools as well.
That's a really good option, especially for the bigger ones.
The main way we learned to renovate homes was through YouTube and learning through the experts that we called and seeing the work that they did and asking them lots of questions.
Yeah, I mean, our knowledge was very basic. Ola had never picked up a drill before this house.
Never.
I had a B in wood tech.
We just watch YouTube videos. Cullen does most of the watching and he just relays that information to me because these videos are just so long.
I think it's important though, make sure you watch lots of videos. Like, don't just watch one that's the most viewed. You've got to watch a few because there's different ways that you can do things and that's really important.
So what DIY projects have you done down here then?
So we built this wall.
Oh, what's on the other side?
Come in, I'll show you.
If you were to rent it, you'd rent it as a 4th bedroom and that could bring you extra income, which is really useful. But right now we kind of just use it as a production room.
And what's the number one piece of advice for young buyers?
For me, I say the boring things, get a good credit score. But as Cullen was going to say,
That's basic.
it's
I
basic,
think
but important.
save your deposit money, then save enough for all of the extra fees, which is people don't expect, and then save a huge amount more just to protect yourself. You need that safety bracket in case anything like this house happens, you know?
Yeah, I'd say the safety bracket is especially important if you're gonna invest in an older house because you never know what's gonna happen with an old house.
So Cullen, you're the better DIYer, but who's the better interior designer?
That one's just complicated.
Highly disputed. Let's take you upstairs and you can make your own mind up.
Okay, shoes off upstairs. That's the rule.
We're checking. This is both our bedrooms, the entrances. I think the styles are very different, so come on in.
Yeah,
You can make your
welcome to my
decision.
room. So yeah, it's just very chill vibes in here. Got my little terrarium. I like this plant a lot. And all the artwork in here was done by me as well.
Lots of primary colours and
Yes.
lots of gold.
Yes. Gotta love it, gotta love it.
Don't know how most people would feel about that.
Where do you get your design inspiration from?
Just go with what I like, to be honest. But I like to change things up as well. So the way this room is right now, it's probably not gonna be like that in some months. But there are some things that would always stay, like that poster. Can't really call it a poster. It's like more of a sheet. It says gratitude. I think it's
Oh, how lovely.
one of my
How cute.
I loved painting that.
You'll notice the amount of gold he has in this room.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a bit weird. But
it's my obsession. I like gold.
Okay, Cullen, you have a lot to say. Let's look at your room then.
let's go through into this one. Now just prepare your mind. We're looking for something clean, something stylish.
Something your girlfriend did.
Something neutral, you know, you have to just apply that to both. Got a beautiful clean linen bedding, you know, quality bedding. Lots of plants. This is an ecosystem in here. It's basically a forest. No gold in sight, as you can see. Got some nice little bit of color, little bit of energy, some comics on the wall up here. Keep it classy.
What is it like to live and work in this house together?
Laughy. I think laughy.
Yeah. Fun times.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
You make it sound like you.
It's very fun. Like, cause we work together, day job, side job, TikTok, and of course living together. For most people that would be a lot, but we find a way to make it work.
Exactly. We've had a lot of pain in this house, and if we couldn't laugh about it, then, you know.
And what's the biggest assumption that people make when you say you bought this place together?
Yeah, that we're a couple.
If one more person says we're a couple, I swear to God.
Yeah, we're not a couple. Yeah, that's it.
We're just friends that bought a house together.
Some people
and we work together.
Yeah, they really want us to be a couple. They want to ship us, and that's okay. Like, you can have your fantasies. You can have your fantasies. But yeah, we're just friends.
Yeah, just friends.
And what's your number one piece of advice for people considering buying with a friend?
Make sure it's the right friend. That's the main piece of advice, because you might think you want it, and you might think that person is right, but are they really?
They may even be your best friend, but sometimes your best friend isn't good with money, or sometimes your best friend doesn't have the same goals with you. And if you ever change, you don't have a plan in place that's suitable, then you'll run into trouble at some point.
And what's the best thing about owning rather than renting?
You can make more decisions yourself. You could be more creative with your house as well.
Yeah, definitely the creativity, I think, is a big part. Right now, we need to add a lot more color, but I think you just got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, we've just got like a blank canvas of this house right now.
Exactly.
And I guess the next year or so, this year, is just about adding more things to it.
This room.
Yeah.
This room, we've got plans for this room. Right now, it's kind of like spare bedroom, place to rent out.
My plant graveyard. I'll just let some plants die here.
Don't say some. How many plants has actually been on that windowsill?
Let's not talk about it, okay?
Over 10. Over 10 plants. They come in here.
Not on camera.
They come in here begging for water.
What is the worst thing about owning a house?
The worst thing?
The work. It's like, the thing is, when you own a house, every problem that you have to fix. It's like water was leaking down here. We had to fix it. Water was leaking down. Actually, come in here. There's a leak in here. We still haven't fixed this, but we can't use this shower because the water leaks through the kitchen ceiling. So like every single thing that you think that wouldn't go wrong will go wrong in a house when you buy it, especially when it's old at least.
If you're self-employed, it's so difficult to buy a house because unless you're in like the top 5-10% of earners, you need to earn like 100K minimum by yourself. If you can't do that, then it's not possible.
Banks tend to want security, and freelance work and self-employed work tends to be a little bit like you have a bit here, you have a bit there, you have
unpredictable.
A bit here. But we actually worked around that because we did freelance, but we managed to get a six-month term contract, which allowed the banks to see that we have we can work for a long period of time, that we have constant work. And then we counted as contractors, and that helped us get a special type of mortgage, which we didn't even know existed. So it's not impossible, it's hard, but if you're good at what you do, it's definitely a plausible option for some people.
This is how we got our keys. Thank you for watching.
Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, comment, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and of course you have to follow us too, okay? Bricks and the Soda.
Bricks and the Soda.
On all channels.
Now.